So, welcome, friends, parents, fellow travelers today. So, it is November 6th, and Mary-Lise and I are recording episode 15 of Walk the Talk. And the reason why it's important to say it is November 6th is that here in the United States, we had our general election yesterday, and the results are known today. And there are some very, very happy people in this country, and there are some very disappointed people in this country. And that's the nature of an election. And that's the nature of the life that we're living, where there's so much uncertainty anyway. So we started this conversation before we ever got onto recording for you. We started the conversation around how to think about the uncertainty that we're surrounded by, the fact that we can have a result that we're either thrilled by or a result that we're disappointed in, and how do we react to that? What is appropriate, and how do we take back some level of control for ourselves so that we don't allow the external world to be determining how we act and feel, that we're able to figure out how do we make these decisions for ourselves? So that little introduction, I'm going to let Mary-Lise kind of kick us off.
Isla, that's brilliant. You put everyone in perspective so beautifully, because I'm on the other side of the world, where I said to Isla, well, you wouldn't believe what's happening on this side of the world. And, for the last 20 years, things have emerged and cases have been exposed that are so blatant, so in your face, and so devastating that your brain struggles to deal with the reality of what you've just been told, the reality of what has just come out. And from my perspective, I feel like, every day, first of all, you've got to consider what you see in the media, because so much of it is staged, so much of it you're being fed what they want you to believe, firstly. Secondly, the moment you put your hope and your dreams and everything in the hands of whoever it is that is supposedly running the local government or the national government, you're putting your happiness in the hands of external forces. That's exactly what you said now. And if you have been dealt a few blows and have had to face this incredible disappointment or fear, because you just realize, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to us? How are we going to deal with this? It really forces you to change the way that you view this and think about this. And this is, I feel like we've already had such an amazing conversation around this, but it's nice that we can share now, the things that have come up. So I'm going to put it right back in your hands, because I think even though we are sitting on different sides of the world and we are facing very different realities, just in terms of the governing bodies that are in charge of where we are at, what we have both discovered is it's quite similar. And this is why it probably relates to every person on this earth. There's no country where you can sit where you are not dealing with this kind of reality on some level.
Yeah, yeah. So I think what I would like to do is I would like to take it maybe to how do we react, knowing that our children are watching everything and they're taking their cues from us. So, as Mary-Lee says, what we know is there are so many external forces that no matter what, sometimes that external force can feel like it's for us, and other times it can feel like it's against us, or a part of it can be for us and another part against it. It's always like being in white water. You're on these rapids, everything's moving so darn fast, and you're in the raft and you lost the oars. And that's what it just feels like that all the time. But if that is our reality, and in my opinion, it is our reality, then my opportunity is to figure out how am I going to deal with that in a way that brings me some level of peace
Mm.
and gives me the opportunity to be more positive or more impactful or bring more value to what I'm doing in my life, to the people that are around me, to my family, to my friends, to the people that I work with.
Mm.
And as we think about the impact of how we act and react on our kids, I think it becomes super, super important to take the time to think about that so that we're coming from a place of being mindful, being deliberate, and not allowing ourselves to be caught in these rapids and bounced around around the boulders. We really need to take the time to think about our own thinking and how we want to be in the world, and then be guiding our children and helping them navigate as well, because it's really, really hard for them. They're fearful. There's a lot out there that is the unknown for our kids. So that's maybe a little bit of a rant, but
No, and it's so true, Isla, because I mean, mental health has never been um in a worse state. And we know the anxiety levels are through the roof. And I think the way that we choose to approach that and the words that we wish to speak in front of our children, the way that we address supposed realities around us. And I say supposed because you don't really ever know. There are way bigger agendas than we realize. So the way that we address whatever is going on out there, and the confidence that we instill in the way that we react to that as well, and in the way that we help them deal with whatever it is they're facing. I don't think it's ever been more important than it is right now.
Mhm.
And this is why it's so important to talk about it, because we can make that difference. We can be that difference every day. It's a mindset, and it's the words you choose to speak over that thing. No one in your house is going to feel positive about anything if you're constantly dealing with negative thoughts and you're constantly saying, oh, these people are ridiculous. What's going on is crazy. Oh, that'll never work. Where this world is just going to pot. There's no ways you're going to be able to be that change for yourself and for them if you address things like that.
Yes, you cannot buy into the problem.
No,
It's
no.
got to stay
Mm,
distant from it. But
mm,
the one point that I really think is important, because I grew up in a war zone. I grew up in Northern Ireland at a very,
mm,
very difficult time in Northern
mm,
Ireland, tanks in the backyard and soldiers on the street and all of that. Not unique, but my like,
mm,
lived experience. I
mm,
was a teenager in that period of time. I didn't dare ever talk to my parents about how scared I was, because
mm,
they literally shut me down. They did not want to hear it. They did not. So I grew up with this sense of it's wrong for me to be scared, or it's wrong for me to feel emotion around this. So I think that my message back to parents would be encourage your kids to talk to you about what they're feeling or what they're hearing from their friends or
mm,
what they're seeing on social media. Encourage
mm,
them to talk to you so you can actually have a conversation that supports their emotional reality.
mm,
Mine was not supported at all, and it was very damaging to me.
mm,
So that's I think, one big message that I want parents to take away is ask the questions, encourage the conversation, because in encouraging that, you can help them create maybe the mindset or the way to move forward positively with whatever chaos is around them.
But then also, I totally agree with that. Also, that doesn't mean watch every news report, allow all those channels in your home. You've got to control what is being consumed as well. And then within a controlled environment where facts are dealt with, then say, okay, I hear you on this. This is valid, this is not valid, because you don't need to worry about that. You have no control over it. You cannot change that big picture for all of humanity. What can you do for you today that is going to instill the confidence and the hope inside of you that is going to allow you to go forward in a positive way? Because I grew up in a house at a very revolutionary time in our country where my mom listened to every news report, morning, noon, and night. And in the evening, she would switch from one channel because the news was at 6 p.m. to the next channel where the next news report was at 7 p.m. to the next one in a different language. And I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? And I don't want to hear this. Enough. Yes, but I've got to hear everyone's take on it. It's like, okay, choose one. Who do you want to believe? Choose one. But gosh, I can't listen to this every night, you know? So that's the thing. It's a balance of control what goes in and then deal with that in the healthiest, most supportive way. Does that make sense? Because that would definitely,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you totally. The turn off the news. You don't need it. You don't need it. There's enough uncertainty out there without having to listen to it being drip fed on a daily basis. So I agree with you wholeheartely. This is obviously, Marilis, it's a topic that is, we could for a long time, but I think I'm gonna close my part of it with just this aspect of trust that you can follow your own intuition to know what's best for you and your family, and just follow through on that. Do not allow external forces to determine your life and how you live it. Figure out for yourself what's right and what's best for you and your family. So I'm going to close on that and let you close on some closing words.
That's amazing, because I also feel like what is happening inside of each of us is so much more important than what's happening out there. Yes, that does affect a lot of things in our lives to a certain extent, but first and foremost, what is happening inside of you is going to determine how you move forward anyway. So listen to that. Be the best version of yourself, because that is what's really going to impact your children's lives. If you're the one that's always going to find the positive nuggets, the things that are going to build them up and uplift them, you are going to make the kind of difference that they need. I'll stop there because I can carry on. So anyway, everyone have an amazing week. And yeah, you are so special. You've got such a wonderful privilege of being a parent and leading your family forward, and just make the best of that. Every day matters.
Every day matters. So until next week.